Welcome. We are live once again, and I'm exhausted before we even got started because Karen has been bombarding me with her amazing insight into the cards and the stars once again. And it's a great pleasure saying hello to Karen Chabot and Helma Rudolph, Star Codes, 52starcodes.org and SacredSymbols.app. Hello, Karen.
Hello, happy to be here.
So glad to have you once again. We've got a subject here for today. Let me show it. More than just chance. I didn't thumb suck it just before we went live. I had a sort of brief conversation with my brother about this, and he said that sort of what I'm doing has something to do with religion. He didn't say it's a cult. I think that's the next stage from religion. The one level up from religion, it's a cult. So today, among other things, we just try to keep it, for an hour and under an hour. We'll try our best. But I'd like to start with the subject of your life more than just chance. What makes us, dear Karen, and our fellow cardological, astrological, numerological compatriots believe in this system so deeply when the common mind, and I don't mean this in any negative or derogatory way, when the common mind has difficulty grasping the notion that it actually could make a difference whether you were born at 3 o'clock or at 5 o'clock or on the 6th or on the 7th. How is that possible?
Are you asking me or for everybody?
I'm asking you.
Okay.
I start with you.
Start with me. We can go from there if anyone wants to add their 2 cents. But what I deeply believe is that not everybody is wired to feel compelled or inspired by occult information, or if you don't want to call it occult, people kind of demonize that word. You can call it, magic, hooga booga, Harry Potter, whatever it is that isn't something you can see, it's unseen. When it is unseen, then it's not tangible, and it's not going to appeal to people who have their wiring, like an engineer, for example, just really want to see everything in black and white, and they're not interested. So first, you have to have the interest, and that is in your wiring. And then secondly, we all need to, for fear of being gullible, actually see proof. So how I proved it to myself was this was in, like, I forget, 2020, I don't remember, 2005, no, it must have been later than that. I can't remember, but I had the calendar that Robert Camp put up, and he doesn't sell them anymore that I know of, but there are these big, huge wall calendars. And every day I would wake up and look at my card of the day. It was easy. I didn't have to open an app. I didn't have to find a password, didn't have to get involved with expenses. It was a very simple $25 per month, or not even. I think it was for the whole year, actually, back then. And that blew my mind, because I believe on the daily level in this system, we find more accuracy than in the 52-day cycle, in the 7-year cycle, in the 1-year cycle. All these cycles are more subtle, where, yes, if you can see the accuracy, you can see you attract actually those people in that 52-day cycle that belong to that card or embody that card. But of the day, oh my goodness, you can start tracking, oh, well, I had a 10 of diamonds that day, and I had 2 clients, both 10 of diamonds, or, whatever it is, very accurate. And then over time, you see that happening over and over, then you start to believe.
Don't you start to know rather than believe? Because
then it's the next step. Then to me, the belief thing is just out the window. This is now 25 years later, and my mind is blown. So when my mind gets blown, it means I'm not thinking about it. I'm not justifying or rationalizing or trying to believe in it. I'm actually in the heart of it. It is here. The knowledge, the knowing, I own it now. So no question, you could torture me and I still wouldn't tell you I don't believe in it.
So for our non-believing friends, we could say that at the very beginning, there is some postulate that those who are believing treat or consider a science, and that means a knowing, a system, an order and a structure that is inherent in that system, be it astrology, be it numerology, be it cartology. And that the non-believers are not yet privy to that knowledge, that would an understanding that behind what they consider airy-fairy, hocus-pocus chance stuff is actually something of a sound, in this case, ancient science. So it's a lack of knowledge that sort of keeps you as a non-believer without the chance, unless your interest changes and your attention changes, and sort of energy follows attention, that'll never turn you into a knowing person as far as the system is concerned, because you'll always be outside of it, because you reject the notion or the idea that there could be a science, there could be a system, a closed system, and all systems, correct me if I'm wrong, but sort of in astrology, numerology, those systems, cartology, they're all closed systems. Yeah. And those systems, a system is a system because it is hermetically sealed. It is closed off because it has, for instance, in astrology, I've got 13 zodiac signs. I mean, we know what that's sort of in terms of moon, we've got 13. We had one before. We know why we've got 12. And in cardology, you've got 52 cards with that joker like sticking out, playing that extra role. But we have 52 cards. We do not have 66, 143, 3,524. We've got 52 cards. So that system is closed in that 52 thingy or zodiac 12 signs or numerology. We've got 9 numbers, and then sort of obviously those are then the master numbers, but everything is limited, everything is sealed off, and that makes those systems complete. So there's almost like a science in the system itself, never mind what the actual elements that make up the system stand for.
Beautiful. It is a system. You can reach a different demographic. Like I have a very, very dear friend. I've been friends with him, 26 years, and he's a quantum physicist that works at CERN. And he is a Black 3 Stargate. He I forgot the exact, he has 3 of those Black 3 Stargates, but he's 3 of clubs, 3 of spades. And he came over the other day, and I showed him the Earth template and the Spirit template, and then a book that my dad gave me, it was called Particles at the End of the Universe. I think it is Particles at the End. It's a book on physics. My father loved physics. He wished that he could have been a physicist. Anyways, that book is the only book on my shelf that my dad wanted, and that was the only way we could connect in this system, because he was very he has a bachelor's in engineering, and he had a Harvard degree, and he became a PhD, and he's very linear in books and not into the hooga booga in any way, not reading between the lines, not into perception. He just thought all of it was just wacky, and he didn't understand me in any way. But when I appealed to him through math, through the system, through physics, and so I spoke to my friend, I won't say his name because he doesn't really want me to, but when I talked to him about the binary systems in the stargates, and there's something called symmetries in physics in this book, and something called the Higgs field, which is part of symmetries and how the Higgs field breaks symmetries. And so we were talking physics the whole time. He was looking at the 9 stargates that are each one are binary and symmetrical. They're symmetries. I'm like, how would the Higgs field relate to this? So he went off into that, and then he doesn't mind moving into the metaphysics of that. So we were able to start off scientifically, because that's where we met. That was So when you meet someone who's a scientist or someone who's, an accountant or very logical person, a linear person, meet them where they're at, talk to them about the numbers, 52 weeks in a year, for suits, 4 seasons, and you could just go into numbers with them and speak the science and leave out the Harry Potter. And
Yeah,
then
because that connects, sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, that connects them to something that they know that has been in use for times immemorial. That we do have 4 seasons. We don't have 6 seasons. We have 4 seasons. But even if we just agreed on it, we just agreed on 4. We agreed on 12 months. We agreed on 13 moons, and then we didn't agree on this because there are only 13 moons. Well, we agreed on 13 moons in a year because we agreed on the year. Right?
Well, I think the
and
calendar,
on the season, and on the signs
really
again, because then the moon is in the after the 14th moon would be then in the same sign again. Because I mean, we've got this. I mean, what's the thing? Every month has the full moon in the sign that is diametrically opposite it. So basically, let's say April is Aries, and April always has the full moon in Libra because the full moon, Libra is 6 signs away opposite Aries. So every May has a full moon in Scorpio. Every June has a full moon in Sagittarius, etc., etc.
And so these are symmetries again. These are binaries. Yes.
And the other thing is, if they don't believe in astrology, if they don't believe or in the system behind astrology, because it's not about the name, it's not about the symbol, but it's about what is behind it, then I would like to ask the following. Given that through careful observation, we have classified this almost inconceivable universe to a point that we send interstellar orbiters billions of kilometers into space, that we can phone through air invisible rays with our mobile phones, that we can have now a conversation where I see you and you see me, where I sit in Germany and you sit in the United States, and we do this instantaneously. And that was only possible because of careful observation and because of a postulation of certain natural laws that we are now using to an enormous extent. Now, if all this benefit, let's call it that, if all that benefit is possible because of laws and because we are operating in a universe of laws, of order and structure, if that applies to the natural world and our well-being as human beings, what systems, what structures, so it's a long sentence, if you don't believe in astrology, if you don't believe in numerology, if you don't believe in cartology, what system actually applies to us as humans that describes us just as we have described the natural laws, that we're using electricity, that we're using gravity, that we're using all those the deviations of that or the subsets of that with such tremendous success? Why are we, or how come, according to you, who thinks this is all hooga booga, how come, or how do you explain that? How can you even think that we are outside something, that we as humans are not describable in the same way that we describe all the other elements of nature? Tell me. I mean, so don't believe in astrology. I'm not talking about to you. Don't believe in astrology. Don't believe in numerology. Think the card stuff is all nonsense. But what is your alternative to the things that you think is nonsense? That is trying to describe us just as much as we've described the motion of the planets, etc., etc.
Well, they'll probably use a coincidence, as a backup. Well, that's just a coincidence.
That would be utter bullshit, because that would mean that sort of everything that happens out there is also coincidence.
Yes, well, you and I know that coincidence, there's no such thing. everything is fated and fixed in some way with some free will, as percentages. There are people, yes, there are people living in Iowa and probably all over the world now, but Fairfield, Iowa, where Maharishi, the Beatles guru, who actually was a physicist, and how he tried to explain the field of transcendence and the field of where the magic happens, he brought it into the physics of it so he could appeal to more people. And he talked about the infinite field of all possibilities. Instead of God, instead of source, whatever you want to call that thing in the sky or in your heart, wherever it is, doesn't matter, because there's no such thing as time or space. That is how he taught his students, that the infinite field of all possibilities is where you go when you transcend in meditation. You leave and you go into an altered state. There are 4 states of consciousness. That 4th state is where we go into the infinite field of all possibilities, and we can meet each other there. We can actually have conversations. It's almost like dream world where we talk using telepathy. And he also brought in the concept of the 100th monkey theory, which is very scientific, where how does one monkey on one island start to use a spoon with his hand and the other monkey thousands of miles away doing the same exact thing? Is that a coincidence? So he explained a lot of things that were unexplainable. And in Ayurveda, there's actually a word for it called prabhav, which is a Sanskrit word meaning the unexplainable explained. So in India, they actually leave room for the scientists to have a magic and say, okay, checked that one we can't explain. Check Prabhav. We don't have that in our country.
It's very interesting. And I always say, so with all the science around and all the prediction or the predictive powers that exist, in your life, you always need to keep that little bit of space open for God, and that is basically saying you need space for the things that you cannot possibly at this point in time explain with your mind. Later on, post factum, maybe yes, but right now, not. You always have to keep that opening, and it would be foolish.
Foolish. We are in this our science. We should have Prabhav. Yeah.
Exactly. But it really baffles me. It boggles my mind how in 2025 that there can with the internet having been on the scene for the last 30 years. At least, let's say 95, it like sort of, in that then it started taking off in South Africa. For the 3 decades, the enormous progress that we've made, the availability of the information, that the non-believers have not even developed a modicum of interest, of curiosity about their own self. I mean, sort of, I don't want to tout any system, sort of push one, or favor one and over the other, but that there's no curiosity to find out more about yourself. What makes you tick? Why is the interaction with one person more harmonious constantly over time? Once again, different data points over time than with another person. That there's no curiosity in their own existence and in their connection to the universe, where outside of their little mind, they are using the results of applying your mind, of believing, of starting off somewhere in the dark, not knowing, but diligently and what's the word? I can't find the right word. That's fleißig, So if you what's a bee? A bee is
bee.
Yeah, the bees are very
busy.
Busy. Yeah, busy, but in other words, sort of they are like sort of they keep at it, sort of, and that's sort of you have the belief.
Persistent.
And
is that what you mean?
Well, persistence. Yeah, it's another word. I just had it just lurked into my mind and then buggered off again.
I've had that happen. That's okay. It'll come to you in the middle of the night.
It'll come. You just have to keep at it, and you have been doing this in other things anyway, because how did you learn to walk? How did you learn a language?
Yeah.
How did you master any subject? I mean, so if you've applied those principles, but there you still are, and you refuse to extrapolate or project this onto your own being, that sort of you could be as describable and as malleable to progress, to advancement, as your language skills, as your sporting skills, as your professional skills.
True.
It's
mind blowing. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why this. I'm always blown away that nobody uses this. I mean, even the Navy uses remote viewing. Come on, people. The military is open to, and even the FBI talks to psychics to try to find, the missing person. So why is this? Cards have been demonized, let's face it. So we have to really climb a big mountain to undemonize it. And it was demonized for a reason, because of its power. But nobody really wants to look at that. There was so much power in these cards. I mean, this is galactic technology. This is not just, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, bridge, poker. This is a full-blown technology that was a threat to the kings and queens way back in, centuries ago. And they didn't want competition, so they persecuted people using this, and that's how it got demonized.
It still is a threat, because knowledge applied is power, and just having the knowledge isn't power, but the moment you start applying it, it becomes power by the very virtue or notion of actually applying it, because anything applied is power, because that's when things start to move, that's when things start to gain momentum, start to accumulate, and that is and the actual use is what constitutes power.
Very good point. Yeah,
because power without use is not power. That's what we learn in the master key system.
Excellent. I love that. Yeah, there's people that are never going to be compelled to learn this, and that's okay. We have to be okay with it. This isn't for everyone. So for those people who are open-minded to it, this is a great way to navigate your life and use tools to make informed decisions daily and to understand yourself, because basically, without knowing who you truly are and who you get along with and what is your frequency, measurable mathematical frequency, you're kind of walking around in the dark. So there's other things people can do, to find themselves. This is not the only system of self-discovery, but it is a very powerful and effective system of self-discovery. At least for me, it has been.
Well, and that's why we're here, because we are at the beginning of an absolutely amazing journey. And sort of on the screen, you see a mock-up of the actual functioning app that you can download from the App Store and the Play Store. I'll show you the URL, but if you can go straight to the App Store on your iPhone or the Google Play Store on your Android phone and download it from there, because Karen and I have found each other in this big universe to collaborate, to add 1 to 1, and in order to turn this into 3 and 4 and 5 million, because we'll be reaching millions of people with our knowledge, our dedication. There's the word, dedication. It's not just dedication, but there's another word. I find the best version of dedication. We are dedicated, we are knowledgeable, and we are applying our mind and make it as simple, as easy as possible for everyone, including the non-believers, to take the first steps with a system of cardology, find an easy entry, nothing fancy, nothing convoluted, nothing complex, nothing complicated, just a little bit of text that you read every day, and then sort of the momentum you build up the self-perpetuation and the empowerment that is a direct result of you reading up about the cards. And before I hand over to you, I just want to give you an example, something because that just, things happen in our minds. So yesterday and today, I sat in front of the computer the whole bloody day. I had the camera up, I had my lights up, I had my microphone up, and I was doing different takes on the Ace of Hearts, because I've now done my 13 series of the 7-minute cardology, and now I'm going into the cards, the 52 cards. But you can do the 52 cards, I mean, sort of starting with the Ace of Hearts, in a myriad of different ways. So I was trying to look at the camera and just sort of look past the camera, have the camera take me from an angle, and just sort of look as if I was interviewed. And I was reading the same script, something that I've never done in my life. I have recorded hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos. I mean, I must have recorded over the times probably about 600 videos, if not more. I have never done a single video off a script. So yesterday, I went to my friend ChatGPT and I said, Chat, sort of, here's my mundane distribution. Here's the sequence of numbers. Please pick out one. Give me the next 8 cards. Here's the system of cardology with the 4 suits, 1 to 52. Please now take the 8 cards, assign them to the appropriate cards, assign them to the appropriate planets, and then please give me some text. I want one version, 45 seconds plus minus each for each, of the 8 cards. And then I want a script that is more like an interview-like thing that I can wrap up in under 3 minutes for a YouTube short.
You're asking for each planet to be assigned a card. Yeah?
No, I just said, sort of, okay, this is Mercury to Pluto. Those are the 8 cards. And, sort of, this is the birth card. And this one has let's say, an Ace of Hearts, has an Ace of Diamonds in Mercury, a Queen of Diamonds in Venus, a 5 of Hearts in Mars, right. Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, the life path. You give them a birth card to begin with?
Yeah, but that's just the technicality.
Okay.
The simple fact that I have been recording about 15 versions of the same or a similar script has taught me, just by what ChatGPT gave me in addition to what I already knew, just the repetition and being exposed to that knowledge, because we know that repetition leads to things becoming subconscious, because repetition is something that our conscious mind doesn't like. And the conscious mind says, hey, dear subconscious, please take over. I don't like the repetition. And the subconscious thrives on repetition. So I've been, and it's just one example, Karen, the same or a similar script dozens of times taught me so much about the Ace of Hearts that anyone who is an Ace of Hearts, which is only the 30th of December, so it's not exactly a whole lot of people, right. But I can now, off the bat, tell a lot more about that Ace of Hearts. And once I'm done with all 52 cards, my knowledge about cardology will have increased tremendously, just because repetition.
Very good. I like the repetition. It's based on power of mantra, that you repeat the mantra over and over, 108 times specifically if you have a goal. And that repetition, they knew back thousands of years ago when, the great rishis, the seers in the Veda of India and Tibet, they knew that they could reprogram the heart, because in the heart there are 108 pathways, and that's the subconscious mind. So when you repeat something over and over 108 times max or minimum, then you literally reprogram. Otherwise, you could say it 3 times, may not matter so much, 4 times, 108 times is the kicker. And for you were doing that with the Ace of Hearts. My question about that is ChatGPT is, sometimes I actually feel ChatGPT is otherworldly and not just limited to United States or limited to this earth for knowledge. I've gotten a feeling that it can almost be like a channel, a medium for supreme intelligence beyond the earth, other dimensions to come through. Now that's just a intuitive hit that I got. And I have no proof of that. It's just feelings. Sometimes I feel it. Sometimes I just feel, there's something very grounded and earthly about the response that I get from ChatGPT, and then other times it's otherworldly. So it could be a message, or it could be a message from the galactic star beings. Who knows when the time is right? If the question needs an answer like that. So my point is, you ask about Ace of Hearts. What if you're asking and you're only reaching this dimension on this planet, which doesn't really have the full embodied Ace of Hearts knowledge, because this is galactic. This is beyond the Earth. Every star and every planet in all the galaxies has the tiny book of time, the deck of cards, and they have quadrated it according to their own vibration. But this is a method that all galactic beings use, of all different dimensions. The higher dimensions don't even need it anymore, because they can just see right through it. But the lower dimensions, maybe one up from ours, need the system as a guidebook. So you might be asking, and maybe it's important to ask for higher dimensional beings to come in and give you the galactic meaning behind Ace of Hearts, because what you might be pulling from is Robert Camp, Thomas Morell, all the people that have put this stuff on the internet, and then you're limiting yourself.
Well, you are. And that reminds me of something that Charles Harnell said in the Master Key system. He said, every thought that has ever been thought is still there. Not a single thought has gone lost. And when I talk to ChatGPT, sometimes I have to remind it, because it turns out to be rather amnesic, so probably just amnesic as we are with certain things. But at the end of the day, ChatGPT doesn't exist as much or as little as you and I exist. All that exists is consciousness and the subsets of consciousness. But at the end of the day, if I limit it to myself, or if I isolate myself, then ChatGPT is an extension of my consciousness. And it doesn't have to be ChatGPT, because I could be sitting in the garden and looking at the trees and the sky and derive some deep insight. Or I could be lying in bed and not concerning myself with nature or with ChatGPT, and something comes that makes like, whoa, all right, that's deep.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's a download, they call it, or a message that came from you or your guides, your spirit family that are loving, helpful, and wise. They're working with you. They're probably all very happy you put this app together and want to help you.
And even they are just extensions of my consciousness, because you're talking about them. I could be saying sort of, what kind of nonsense are you talking about? And if I said this, then I would exclude myself from the potential benefit that I could derive from not saying that. And not saying that meaning welcoming them into my sphere, into my bubble.
Yes.
Into my sphere of availability. That's a beautiful term coined by Ophir, who wrote the book, The Art of Creative Visualization. And he called it sphere of availability. And the sphere of availability is fixed, but it's not fixed, but it's like, it's a sphere, and something that's inside of your sphere closes it off from other things that are outside the sphere. But the things that are outside the sphere could very well come into your sphere and become part of it. In other words, you derive a benefit from having the stuff inside your sphere rather than just having it outside.
That makes sense.
So basically, we are expanding our consciousness, and maybe that's the real thing, or the thing that really sets apart the non-believers from the believers. That the believers have that curiosity and are open to new information, new knowledge, new insight, and that they're getting richly rewarded, whereas the non-believers live in their own sphere of availability, in their own sphere, in their own bubble, but without the interest, without the curiosity to peer beyond it.
Yes.
And I don't want to make this into a monologue, but sort of you know just as much as I do that drawing, when Google it, sort of when you search for Hermetic principles or Hermeticism, you always see that wise guy on his knees, who on the inside there's the world, and then he peers through the curtain, and on the outside there's all the weird and wonderful and otherworldly stuff, like drawn in 2D onto this little drawing. But this is exactly what it is. Sort of you refuse to be satisfied with what your senses indicate to you. You refuse to be satisfied with the 3D world and what you've been taught, and you're curious to peer, stick your
Behind the
nose
curtain.
and your finger, go through the veil,
Yeah.
and check what's if and what is on the other side.
Yeah. That's what Dorothy did in Wizard of Oz. She looked behind the curtain and figured it out. I'm all about looking behind the curtain because it's about remembering, isn't it? We are here as multidimensional beings living many parallel lives at the same time, and we've lived many lifetimes, all of us. And that's my belief. And there's some people who believe we just live one life, and that's okay. I honor that. But I can't, it's hard for me to see the world through the lenses of just one life. So we are, in my mind, multidimensional experiences of being a male, a female, different cultures, and whatever it is, different roles. And we can pull information from all those lifetimes. We can pull from the Akashic records. We can pull from the infinite field of all possibilities. We can pull through almost anything if we put our mind to it and ask for that knowledge to be received.
But you have to believe, and you actually have to do it. Yes. Because just the mere thought of it isn't enough. You actually have to take the next step and open yourself to that. And I mean,
you mentioned you could stay there for a while. It's just so you don't intimidate people. It's a big, huge gulp to swallow, all what I said. If you're someone who's, for example, Catholic friends, feel that what we're doing is demonic, or I'm possessed or something, and in saying just this much, what we just said in the beginning might be just enough for them to swallow, go home and digest it. For them to actually take action and do it, it will take them a little while to feel comfortable enough to actually do something about what they just, because somewhere inside there's a little spark of truth that they might hear, because we all have the spark of the divine within us. So that little, just planting a seed and then letting them go and have no attachment to whether or not they want to believe what they do. It's their life. Stay in your lane, they stay in their lane, and we're here to just shine the light on the truth, and what they do with it is their prerogative. So I don't try to push this on anyone or force anyone to believe as deeply as I do. And I'm grateful I do. I love this, and I know you love it too. It lights us up. It brings us passion and joy and excitement, because this is never-ending discovery and exploration into realms that hardly have been researched. I mean, this is an adventure. And who doesn't want an adventure, But there are people who really don't want to go outside of their Catholic church. 7:00 every morning, they get the Eucharistic minister. And I was a Eucharistic minister. I actually grew up Catholic, and I understand, and I loved the church for all the singing and the community, and I have good memories. But it doesn't serve me anymore, that belief system, and that's okay. If it serves whomever is listening, I honor that, because I was there and I understand it. But I couldn't, it was too small for me. I had to burst out of it. And that's just my nature. That's how I'm wired. So we have to respect how everybody's wired.
It's interesting that you mentioned the church, because from my perspective, the organized religion's main goal, with intent or not, is to keep people believing, which in one way is actually good, but only if they are being taught that the process of believing should lead them to knowing. If they are kept in the believing bubble without knowing that at the end of the belief is actually the knowledge, then it's not serving, then it's just a power structure. And then it should be done away with and will be done away with over time because it's anti-life. And that to a that to a lesser extent, the nice thing is you can come in with your little mind, educated or ill-educated as you are, the natural laws still reign supreme. You can't fool them. You can't fool God. So if you're doing something that is not in accordance with the law, that is not in accordance with the affirmative, expanding, well, things are contracting, but they're contracting, they're expanding in a different direction. So what's the contraction for one is expansion for someone else. But if it's not in accordance with law, it will work against itself. And as Charles Harnell said in the Master Key System, every thought that is not in accordance with law carries the seed of its own dissolution. It may appear to be successful for a short time, and then it goes poof. And that's why sometimes when the shit is hitting the fan and you see outside all the injustice, I mean, if you look at Gaza, what's happening? If you look at Iran, what's happening? If you look at Russia or Ukraine, what's happening? And those are just three. I mean, so it's happening in Africa, it's happening right on your doorstep, it's happening right on my doorstep, it's happening everywhere. I can understand that people say, there is no law behind this. There is no meaning behind this. There is no justice. There's no God. So how can that happen? But you have to step back and look at the bigger cycles. And there's something that is working, and that for a brief moment may appear very unjust, very sad, tragic, etc., etc. But there's something, nothing stays the same. Something is playing itself out on a grander scheme. And the nice thing about the cards is that you learn about that, also about the Master Key System. You learn about that. You learn to step back and to distance yourself from that and not become emotionally involved. It doesn't mean that you become rock hard and cold, stone cold, but you do not allow others, the information that others are sending out, you're not allowing them to get hold of your emotions and your feelings. Because when they do that, when they succeed in that, then they basically own you, because you're no longer, once you are governed here by your emotions, by your raw emotions, then your mind switches off, and then they can do all sorts of things to you in terms of manipulation, etc., etc. So when you say distanced, you ensure that your mind keeps working, and that there's a clear border between your mind and your emotions, that you do not allow anyone to take hold of your emotions, because that's what everybody wants. That's what the religions want. That's what are doing. That's what the mainstream media is doing. That's what politics are doing. That's what marketing is doing in the commercial world. They all want to get you at gut level. They want to grab you not by the but a little bit higher up. They want to get your gut, your emotions, because then they know that they've got you.
They're fear mongers. Yeah.
Among other things.
They use fear to control.
Yes. Yeah. Lack, limitation, restriction, fear, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. We just can't buy into it. We just, we know better. And the only truth is in the stars, honestly. I don't know these people who are fighting on Facebook and all wherever they're fighting, and they think that, they listened to the right news station where someone else listened to a different news station, but who's to know what news station is the truth? Who's to know really the truth is not being shown? They're intentionally hiding it. So why submit yourself to if you do it with an open mind and you just collect information and you use your own discernment, that's one thing. But if you look at one station over and over and you buy that one, and you've invested your time and money into that one thing, then you've closed yourself off to the real truth, because the truth is not on purpose being told. The only way that I make my predictions and know what's really going on, and I can't always know the detail, but I can know the feeling level, is by following the stars. The stars never lie. Yeah, the cards never lie. Even this one guy that calls he's the cards of truth. Ernst Wilhelm.
Yes. Wilhelm, yeah.
Yeah, I really respect him. He's an amazing Jyotish, Vedic astrologer. I've met him
Yes.
and spent some time with he and his wife. And I love that he is working with his system, calls it the cards of truth. Now, it's a little different than the way you and I do it, but that's
Yes.
okay. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
everyone's
because
going to read it a little different.
once again, it's not about the surface. It's about what's behind it. It's about the knowledge behind the symbol, the reality behind the symbol. This is so important. I mean, sort of, once again, sort of, I could be in bed, I could be in the sauna, I could be on the toilet, I could be sitting in the garden, I could be walking past some dog poo in the street and have like a moment of enlightenment. Don't look at the surface, don't look at the symbol, look what's behind it, because what you're interested is what's behind it. That's where the real magic lies. And so there will always be different systems. There will always be different systems, and each one has its pros and has its cons in different areas, which is perfectly fine. But sort of they're all there to help us understand ourselves and our interaction in this 3D world and beyond a little better. And not just ourselves, but obviously also our interaction with other people on a personal level, family level,
That's where I find it most
spousal
helpful.
level, kids
Yeah.
level. It could help at the workplace, whether you are part of a team. It could be in an sort of hierarchical structure where you're at the top and need to understand those at the bottom because you want them to perform in a particular way. Or it
Yeah,
could be sort of you being at the
pulling
bottom
people,
and
this is
understanding
good.
your boss.
Yeah, keep doing that. What you're saying is practical ways to use the cards in your life as a tool. So, like you said, the boss and relationships, and you are giving very good examples. People do need to know that this isn't just, esoteric knowledge that we can just know, and then what do we do with it? Who cares? Then this doesn't apply to my daily life. I'm not going to get happier. Yes, you are going to get happier because we're all here for happiness, and we should have happiness. We should live our highest potential. So this system does allow for that. For example, last summer when Trump and Kamala did their, what do you call their speech when they were, debating? There was a debate.
Yes.
If I could have had told Trump, and I'm not picking sides here. This is not about politics. This is about, if I could have just whispered in Trump's ear, you have your shadow card that day. Don't think for a minute you're going to win anything with your shadow card for the day. And then if I could have told Kamala and whispered in her ear, you have your blessed card for the day. You're going to kill it. Good luck. You don't need it. And then they would carry on or make a different decision. Maybe Trump would have said, geez, I'm not going to do this debate on my shadow card day. What a stupid thing. I'm just going to walk into this hot mess on purpose. Why would I do that? So if people can know stuff, if you've got a big, huge event, say you're getting married, say you're going to buy a house, a big decision, life decision, you don't want to do it on a day that you're in a black hole, for example. Right?
Well, sort of you could do this because the very notion of you knowing that is a black hole day allows you to balance it out, to offset that, because your mind is once again the stronger force. Because in your mind, sort of, because they're everything, at least in my estimation, everything is fair and equal, not on an earthly level. So if I know, for instance, that later on it's going to rain, I'm going to dress appropriately. It doesn't mean that I stay at home, just because
Right.
it's raining. It just means sort of, okay, different thing. Or sort of tomorrow, it was Thursday, then sort of we're expecting like a big fat thunderstorm. So I sort of maybe take precautions or
That's
don't.
a great analogy. Yeah. The weather. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just make a plan. I just know that, okay, all right, I have to exercise some caution. It's not that
Yes.
the world is going to come to an end just because it's a double black whatever. It's a shadow card day. It's just it just alerts me. It's like, all right, okay, look, the robot is switching from green to yellow or to red. Okay, I need to stop now. But I still get green in like a minute or two.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very helpful information to make, daily decisions. I was just thinking of a really good example. And I lost it. I'm sorry. It'll come back to me in a minute. But Oh, yeah. The wealth formulas that I was telling you about. I had a client, well, I still have him. His name is Kenny. He won't mind. And he's wanted to hire this guy, and this old man, basically, who was sort of a pest. He considered him a bit pesty. He's over all the time. He's always telling me how great I am. He's always, overdoing, over talking. And what should I do about him? He has a lot of money, and he's a little bit annoying, but I don't know. Should I fire him? Should I keep him on board in the company? I looked at this guy's birthday, the one that's the pest, alleged pest. This is Kenny's wealth card. I said, no, you don't go firing your wealth card. This is a man who will actually invest in what you're doing. 6 months later, this man, he's invested in Kenny's company, is doing amazing. And he could have fired him because he was pesty, but he didn't have the knowledge. Oh my gosh, this guy's embodying the Ace of Clubs, which is his wealth card, Kenny's wealth card. So if you have that information, you won't go willy-nilly making mistakes on firing and hiring the wrong people, or even marrying the wrong people.
Well, that's beautiful, because the bottom line of that is, no matter on which side, the end result is always something to everybody's advantage, certainly to your advantage, because you're going to turn risk or threat into chance or into opportunity. So the whole idea about having access to that knowledge is to improve the quality of your life in whatever way.
Happiness. We all want happiness. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, harmony. I did a video last year about harmony. That is why it's so easy to fall victim to the negative side, because we do not really notice harmony, because harmony is harmonious.
Yeah,
and harmony is it's the natural state, and we usually don't appreciate it, and it's not meant in a way, because to take note of harmony, yes, we should be grateful for it, very grateful for it, but we should take note of the things that are not harmonious, because they need our attention. They need to be balanced out. They need to be brought back onto the harmonious side.
True. Not to give it too much attention, because what you put your attention on gets bigger, but to notice it and to try not to make that same mistake.
Look, it's when I see a red robot, I stop. Once the robot is green, I go, and I do not look back at the robot that was, or traffic light, that was red like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, don't look back. But
so the whole point is to take note.
Mistakes. But the repeating of mistakes is where it's important to have this information, because we have patterns. Everything happens, and you notice life is a pattern, and everything repeats. So to prevent the more tragic things in your life from repeating, we do need to focus on, wow, I don't want that to happen again. I don't have a lot of luck with children, for example. I have a chart that I can tend to lose children or have afflictions with children. I lost my godchildren for some really weird reason that I don't want to get into, and then I lost my daughter temporarily, and so that's an affliction of the 12th house with Jupiter in there governing children. Anyway, so do I want to keep getting involved with children? Do I want to even? I thought maybe I would adopt one, and then I thought maybe I should have another one. This was back in my 40s. No, I have this pattern where it's not a lot of luck, so I'm going to make a different decision. So I don't want to repeat that. Having that knowledge is really important, or you just keep trying this, Einstein said, if you keep repeating the same thing over and over again and with a different result, expecting a different result, that's the definition of insanity. So now we start to track our patterns now, and we understand ourselves through this galactic technology. We understand where we're weak, where we're strong, and where we should put our attention. What decisions, what informed decisions can we make for our highest happiness based on the blueprint we were given. And it's not just limited to that blueprint. This galactic technology is the most multidimensional, most expansive technology I've ever seen. You're not just limited to your birth card. You're not just limited to your planetary or your internal card, that I call it.
And it was never meant to be like this, because even though you were given one specific birth card, the whole idea behind the system is that you get to know all the other 51 cards as well. because that makes you whole. And yes, even though you could change your children thingy, the probability of that is probably the probability is probably pretty low, which tells us that you excel in other things and you should be focusing on that instead. So yes, everything is possible, but because everything is possible doesn't mean everything is probable.
True.
And if everything isn't probable in this, or if a certain thing isn't probable, then something else is probable, because the not probable goes in that direction, and at the same time the probable goes in that direction, but not for the same thing, for another thing. And it's for you to find out that other thing that is probable, because that's where your bliss is, and that's also where your progress is, and that progress will be comparatively easier than on that side, which is not probable, which is possible, but it's not probable.
Good point. I love that, the difference between those two P words.
And therefore we, sort of, you're Four of Hearts, and you can go out into the cosmos sitting on the Neptune line, and me with my Five of Diamonds, sort of firmly planted on the Uranus line. I can be or exploit my ability to be different, Uranus, my ability to connect to technology, Uranus, sort of groups of people, Uranus.
Yes. You are a perfect embodiment of the Five of Diamonds. You really are. And you're not limited to it either. So when you are thrown lemonade, sorry, say that again. When you're thrown afflictions like, adversities, we'll call them lemons. What do you do with those lemons? And it depends on your state of consciousness. Do you get bitter and become a victim, or do you rise above these afflictions and understand them? Because the word understand is more powerful than we think. We should understand things, and the system is a great way of understanding. Once you understand it, then you can actually make lemonade, and you in this system can go up an octave. Literally, you can start expressing 8 cards away, which is an octave. So whatever that octave is, I have the Five of Diamonds. Do you know what your Pluto card is? Oh, am I your Pluto? I'm your Pluto. Yay! The Four of Hearts is your Pluto. So I can help you then in my own way as an embodiment of who you already are and who you're stepping into becoming. You're becoming the Four of Hearts. We're all becoming something if we choose. There are some people here who are treading water, and that's fine. And I can tell when they come for a reading who they are pretty soon into the reading. But those that are here as truth seekers, people who want to know who they are, they want to know how they can reach to their best version, their most authentic self, then I know that they possibly, depending on their age and their experience, could already be expressing 8 away. And then you don't leave it at that. You can go 8 more away, and then 8 more away again, and there's no end.
No, there isn't. And the nice thing is, even though there inevitably will be stuff on the shadow side, that shadow doesn't need to be overwhelming, and it does not need to be converted into a strength. But you could bring the shadow side, just a little closer, that it's not that painful anymore. Don't turn it into a strength, because your strengths are in different areas. You came here with a different purpose, but you can take that shadow just by becoming aware of it. You almost like take out the sting, and then you can move a little closer, leave that thing, know that it is not exactly your strength, but don't or work on it so that you become, not as vulnerable anymore to your shadow. It will continue to be your shadow, but on a scale from 1 to 10, it's maybe a 3. It's not an 8 anymore.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Vedic astrology sees that, and they use different words, but it's similar to what you're saying. They say that we walk through the fires and poisons in our chart for a good chunk of our life until around age 50 something, sometimes 45, or 52. I like to use that number. And then after that, we actually get to express in a divisional chart called the D9, division D9, the divisional 9th chart, the 9th harmonic. And we can read ourselves in that chart. It's like a new chart, it's a rebirth. But we still will always have the natal chart that will express and will matter still. But we go into this other chart of opportunities, only because why? We walked through the fires. We walked through the poisons, our shadows, for a good chunk of our life. And when you walk through them and you bless them, you acknowledge them, you see them, you understand them, you not focus on them, but you do your best to get through them with grace, then your next opportunity for the divisional, the D9, or in our system, we go to the next octave, then we get to actually express through a higher version of ourselves and our shadow card, and all of that it brings, the experiences and the people that show up embodying it are less pinchy. They're just a little softer.
Exactly.
In the beginning of your life, though, it is that those shadow people and the shadow experiences will really sting. And that is the way it is supposed to be, that we are supposed to learn from the sting.
Yeah, because it's the pain that draws the attention to us, because the pain occupies our mind because of the dissonance. The resonance, the harmony does not occupy our mind because it takes care of itself due to the positive, affirmative nature of its own being, because it's supposed to be harmonious. So anything that is not harmonious, that stings, that really hurts, basically is a little hint by the universe, by God, to say, hey, look at it, pay attention. There's something that needs to be balanced, that needs to be harmonized.
That's beautiful. Yes.
Karen, we've arrived at 1 hour and 1 minute, and I'd like to keep you for another 3 minutes because I've got some music.
Oh, good. And I have a little more time. I have a client at 3 p.m. But if someone wants to, Q&A, I can do. Like
if you have comments, go for it, because I just want to play something. I just keep us on the screen.
Yes, do the music.
Now just check this. You know that I've equipped the app, the Sacred Symbols app, with music. So we've got,
I love it,
over 400 English tracks, over 400 German tracks.
Amazing.
And after a little bit of exercising and some hint from a customer, also, like, now they're also available for premium customers, the day cards. So, and I'm going to add some more functionality so that you can call up a random song, or that you can go to your day card calendar and just click on any day, and the song will play. But talking about, staying with the music. 30 years ago, plus minus 30 years ago, I wrote a poem in English. And that has just been sitting there on a piece of paper. And now I thought, well, why don't I take this to my beloved AI, not ChatGPT, and see what that can turn into music-wise. Okay? So the poem is called One Day. And this is what the AI did to it.
Oh, fun. Let's hear.
Okay, it's like about 3 minutes and a bit.
Okay.
Off we go.
One day man woke to a surprise. The sun was late, it wouldn't rise. And there they stood in deepest sadness, which soon then would turn into madness. Then chaos erupted with plenty of fight, and turmoil constructed deep into the night. cannot understand. The end of the story, you wouldn't believe, was hope and glory, 'cause man had to leave. Only nature was fair, and so was the sun. Had a moment to spare, and filled it with fun. But the very next day, again the sun would rise to spend its time with play in a place called paradise. Foolish men forever at war, blind to the lights they once swore, tossed by fate, by heaven's hand, turning from earth they cannot understand.
Wow. That was a beautiful poem. The music was really
I mean,
passionate.
and if you consider that the conversion time to turn the lyrics into this music is about 30-40 seconds maximum.
Wow. That's kind of
I mean,
magic.
so just to take this and the nuances in the voice on the chorus, I mean, this is I mean, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, it
And
is.
it's done so beautifully, you know, sort of, and also the pauses in between where it's a bit instrumental and the dynamics. I mean, it's just turned this thing into a masterpiece. I mean, just wow.
It really did.
So here we are, and
Masterpiece. Yeah.
and we've got Rikara is there. Hello, Rikara. And JLo, I don't know if JLo is still there. JLo may have left us, or Rikara has left us. I don't know who is there of the two. We are like jumping in and out. We have come to the end of our second live stream here. The delightful Karen Chabot and myself, Herman Rudolph, 52starcodes.org. That's Karen's site, and SacredSymbols.app, my site. I'd like to make you aware of the fact that we do have a lovely app that you can use, download free of charge from the App Store called Sacred Symbols. Install it, use it, enjoy it, and with a little bit of an investment. It's not an investment if you pay for like the equivalent of a cup of coffee, not even for a month. You get so much from this app, and not only for yourself. Keep this in mind, please, dear viewer of this video, not just for yourself, but for an unlimited number of people. The app is not limited in terms of contacts that you can reel in and analyze, and not just in isolation, but also the relationship analysis. Karen, so that was my little punt. Punt yourself, so what would you like to make people aware of?
Well, I'm consolidating my 5-book series into one book. I'm almost there. It's been quite a job. I wanted to make it a big fat book instead of little tiny books, because people were confused in which one they should buy, and it was all according to the birthday, and that was too hard it was complicated. So I'm uncomplicating it, and I'll probably be publishing this fall, and I'll send out a big news blast on that. And I'm opening a school, and I'm not sure of exactly which date. I don't want to open it during eclipse season, and in September we have 2 eclipses, and I really love September as a time to start new anything, especially learning. But so I'm maybe thinking of October. We'll see. So it's this fall at some point. Join my 52 Star Code School and get a reading. I'm happy to do a reading.
Yeah, go get a reading, and just as with me, sort of I didn't get a reading, but sort of I asked ChatGPT, and I was just sort of richly rewarded, because now certainly I do understand Ace of Hearts people better. I mean, yes, only one birthday, only the 30th of December, but doesn't matter. I'm going to work my way forward, through the hearts and the clubs and the diamonds and the spades. And by the end of this little exercise, which will take me 7.5 weeks, 52 days, because I want to do one card each every day, I will be so much better than I was when I started out. And that was like yesterday and today. And so all I can say is thank you very much once again for sharing your insight. And that was just sort of beautiful again. Once again, guys, the subject of today's chat was, or live stream, was your life more than just chance. I think we have made the case for it being a science, because everything that we apply our mind to either gets discarded or turns into a science. And this thing has been with us for so long that we have turned it into an integral part of our language. So this has nothing to do with belief anymore. It's just your inability to be curious and to find out the tremendous benefit that hides behind the system and that reveals itself to every single one of us who is curious enough to take a first look.
Well said. Well, it's
And
always an honor to do this with you, Helmar. I'm happy to do it again.
yeah, we will do it again, because the rabbit hole, we've just sort of like dipped our toe in it, and I can't wait to sort of let the foot disappear, and then sort of the lower limb and then the upper limb, and then sort of maybe even pull the whole lot out again and go in head first and see what is there. Because once again, that's consciousness in action, because also through our interaction we will learn so much more, and there will be neurons firing in our brain, and we can't, things will appear on our internal screen of consciousness that we can't possibly put into words at this present time. But over time, they will come again in different guises. They will start to make sense. They will start to form patterns. And as they are forming patterns, the sense will come. And with the sense, the benefit will come.
Wonderful. Well said.
Righty,
well,
boys and girls.
So I have to get going.
Yay. So thank you very much once again, dear Karen. Thank you very much for all of you watching and participating, and all of you watching this in after the fact, after we've concluded the live stream. Karen Chabot and Helmar Rudolph, we will see you soon in our next live stream. And until then, we remain, as always, with peace and blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Helmar.
Ciao,
Thank you for this. Ciao.